name is Funke Onofe. I used to identify as a CV writer before, but now I am a recruiter. But yeah, I own CV Loft, a resume writing service that helps job seekers to brand themselves through their CVs, cover letters, and personal statements for those who are looking to apply for advanced degrees.
So now you're a recruiter, so a perfect person to have this conversation with then. The first question I wanted to ask you is, as a recruiter now, where would you say the first place you go to if you're looking to fill a position or a role?
Still LinkedIn. LinkedIn obviously is a professional platform. People come there to list. I would say, yeah, it's a listing platform, right, for job seekers and professionals. And then people it's like a digital CV. You can go there, check someone's work history, education history. You can even see if they're open to work and the kind of roles that they are considering. And there's a way to contact them directly. That's mostly when you need to like headhunt. So for specific roles like experienced hires, so LinkedIn. But other than that, social media obviously is one of the biggest tools. So you put out word on a platform, maybe like an ATS platform like Bamboo HR or Greenhouse, something like that. And ATS is acronym for applicant tracking software. You use it to collect applications, sort through them, shortlist candidates, schedule interviews. Basically, recruiters use ATS. Like, if you've ever applied for a job at a bank, for example, you would notice that there's usually a branded link. Yeah, so you apply using that link. It collects specific information, right? Most times, those information are set parameters. So a Big Four, for example, might ask you for your class of degree. They might, because there's probably pushback online and say, why are you still asking for only people that have second class upper? So instead of putting it out there that it's criteria, it's just there in the ATS, and they would ask you, what's your class of degree? What level of education? What's your highest level of education? If somebody who has an MBA or an MSc would obviously rank higher than somebody who has a BSc or an HND. Exactly. So that's what ATS helps recruiters to do. It helps to collect and sort through applications, and then on the back end, it's able to rank applicants, right? So this person meets 83% of the criteria that you have set. This person needs 50%. It's now up to you, the recruiter, to decide if you want to take the ATS, that just use the parameters from the ATS, or you still want to, just check out a couple of candidates by yourself to see, this person is probably a good fit, and ATS maybe picked out this criteria based on how the person's CV was designed, or how the person responded to certain questions. So that's really what ATS helps to collect and sort. And then obviously we can schedule interviews, send out rejection emails. That's why sometimes you see rejection emails are automated.
Now, in the situation whereby you have people that you want to proceed with, regardless of whether they pass through the ATS or not, or maybe a situation whereby you're not necessarily using the ATS and you're just collecting CVs via email. So I want to ask, how important is it for your CV to be aesthetically pleasing? Is that very important, or is just the format and the content of your CV that actually matters?
Well, I would speak for myself. For me, I do not look out for design, or obviously anything that is aesthetically pleasing is very catchy. So first of all, you will definitely see it and you will look at it. But if there's really no content on it, then yeah, it's just a nicely designed document. I do not specifically look out for design. I look out for content. So, and I am, because usually you have to sort through at least 250 applications per time, right, for a role. You can't spend 10 minutes looking at one person's CV. Yeah, so you have to look at as many CVs, and then just look out for specific keywords. So if I'm looking to hire a product manager, I'm looking for specific areas of expertise, industry relevance. Maybe has this person worked, if I'm looking for, let's say, a product manager for a fintech, has this person worked in financial services before? Have they built a product that had, actual good user acquisition? All things like that. You're just looking for specific keywords. And most times you're looking out for like accomplishments. So if people are not really able to articulate their achievements using figures or the right words, say a salesperson cannot tell you exactly the volume of sales that they did in over a particular period of time. Say, oh, I closed out 98% of annual revenue of 100 million, in 2018. It's easy for me to pick out something like that. Oh, this person did 98%. That makes sense. Then if I'm just saying contact customers and sell products to them, that's a job description. That doesn't tell me anything. So I'll still go right and look out for who is actually telling me that they have delivered results. Yeah.
Or is there a particular sequence that your CV is supposed to have? So for example, the course I studied in school is totally different from what I'm doing right now. So when I'm writing my CV or when I want to submit my CV for a particular role, my education doesn't come first. I usually prioritize my experience because I feel like that's more relevant, and it's very important that the recruiter sees that first. So I want to ask if that is okay, or if I compulsorily have to put my education first.
I do not put education first on anyone's CV unless maybe fresh graduates who barely have any work experience, or their work experience is not relevant to the role and the education, is better. So for example, say someone who has a degree in business administration, right? And they came out with a second class offer. That's a good grade. But their NYS, they went to one primary school in one village to teach. It doesn't really demonstrate their skills or anything like that. So obviously their work experience is not the most relevant thing. And they might be considering applying for roles in finance or roles in sales or business development or literally anything else. And their degree is obviously more relevant to the role. So yeah, education would come first. But for people who have work experience, regardless of what you studied, even if you are an accountant and you studied accounting, as long as you've worked as an accountant, you've done relevant work, your work experience is more relevant. So it comes right after this. Okay, so I use professional summary, areas of expertise or key competencies, that's a skill set, and then work experience. After that, education, certifications or certificates or trainings and courses, volunteer experience, things like that can come under. Sometimes you can exchange or place work experience before areas of expertise, but typically I put areas of expertise on top because it's somewhat a summary of your work experience, what you've done so far in your career, so what you're capable of doing. That's skills and competencies, right? And then work experience is an elaboration.
All right. So from what you said, I actually have two follow-up questions. So the first thing I want to ask is about the professional summary. I was having a conversation with a recruiter as well, and then the person had to review my CV for me, and in that particular CV I did not include my summary. Can you just weigh in on the particular question of how important is your summary on your CV, or you don't necessarily have to put one?
If you're applying to school to study, you don't necessarily have to put a summary. Nobody really cares. Plus, you already have to write like 500 to like 750 words on your personal statement. So that covers it. Yeah. But if you're applying for a job, it's very important because as a recruiter, personally, I really, really, really hate having to read cover letters. It's not really my thing. You're going to have to, because sometimes people are telling stories that really do not concern you as a kid. They mix things up. They say, as a kid, I always wanted to be a doctor. All these things, like I don't have I mean, it's probably a great story, but it's a great story for a school recruiter, somebody who you're trying to convince to give you a slot for a master's degree, not me that is looking for somebody that can close out on deals, in good time. So
Yes.
cover letters can really drag, but summaries are very straight to the point. Leave out the buzzwords. Stop telling people that you're hardworking and you're loyal. Don't do that. It's not necessary. Everybody describes themselves as,
Hardworking and loyal.
Exactly. Just go straight to the point. What do you do, or how do you want to be best described? For me, I want to be described as a talent acquisition specialist. So I'll say, I'm a talent acquisition specialist with XYZ years of experience and an academic background in social sciences, precisely economics and sociology, to stop. And then you outline, specific competencies. So if you're a product designer, for example, the tools that that every recruiter is looking for, this person that, can use these tools or is familiar with this language or blah, blah, blah. Yeah, just be very direct, put those things there. And then lastly, always explain how your role impacts bottom line, right? Bottom line is net profits for a business. Always explain how your role impacts it.
Follow-up question I had was as regards, how does someone who does not really have experience, how do they write their CV? Say a fresh graduate, for example, or an undergraduate who is looking for an internship and they have to submit the CV. So in that instance, how exactly do they write their CV, or what should they put in their CV?
Okay, so when my younger brother finished from school, I wrote his CV, took it to a couple of places. He was fresh out of school. He didn't always get the job. And then one day, I think he just sat down and decided that he was going to change the way his CV was written, right? So instead of using the outline format, like one did this, achieved that, because he didn't really have anything to say, he used this summary format, right? So he had a professional summary, obviously. He had his education there, skills and expertise, what he can do. And then in his work experience, instead of saying, job title, where he works, dates, and then using an outline, he summarized it as a blah, blah, blah. During my NYSC, I did XYZ for this. It wasn't longer than 3 lines, but it was straight to the point. It was like summary, and it made sense, right? I haven't done that for anyone because, to be fair, most of our customers in Civiloft are now like professionals, like experienced people. So people who have at least 4 years of experience, exactly. So we do not really have fresh graduates anymore. But if any fresh graduate was wondering how they could write a CV, that would be a good approach. Just explain what you did. It's easier. Sometimes you're not able to articulate things in single points, like one line rather. So you can just use a small summary. When you worked in your mom's shop, what did you do? As a support staff, I helped to do blah, blah, blah. Just 3 lines. It's fine. It's great. We would read it. That's a good approach. So I learned from that. And if any fresher comes to me, I'm adopting that style.
Okay, all right. Let's say, for example, I am living in Ibadan and I want to apply to a role in Lagos, and I am living in Ibadan at the time. So what would you advise a candidate to do in that instance? Do I have to put Lagos or put in Ibadan? It's fine.
I'm not going to tell anyone to lie. So what we do in some instances is you would put Ibadan, Nigeria. Please don't put your full address on your document because your CV can really end up anywhere. So just Ibadan, Nigeria, and then you can put in brackets open to relocation. Yeah,
that's perfect. I've never heard anyone say that, open to relocation in brackets. So thank you for that. Thank you very much, Funke, for taking out the time. I appreciate you. So if people want to find you, for example, as a follow-up for this video, where can they find you?
On Twitter. So my handle is my name, Funke Onofuye, on Twitter.
All right.
I'm also on LinkedIn. I do Funke Onofuye.